All right, all right. Hey guys, good to see y'all this evening. Another tasty Tuesday, thank goodness. Just monitoring the monitors over here and getting things lined up for our show tonight. We're going to be doing something a little different. We usually do scotch here, but Malt, my buddy, has taught me into doing a couple things on the side here and there. And last week we did a couple bourbons, which really did open my eyes to some really good bourbons out there. We did a Four Roses, and we did the what was it? The Four Roses, and the Elijah Craig Barrel Proof, the B 520. That was super good. And this time we're going to change it up a bit. First hour, we're going to take a look at the Amrut Fusion. Amrut being an Indian distillery, and then we're gonna go to Balcones in Texas, Waco to be exact, for a little brimstone. So that should be fun. Oh, hey there, Donna Miller. That's my mom. Good to see you, Mom. You were first to the party. I tell you what. Let me get Malt his invite here. Make sure that's on its way. But yeah, this should be kind of interesting. Was a big fan of the Four Roses was really good too. I saw your comment, Mom, on I think you said you wanted the OESV, if I remember correctly. Oscar Echo Sugar Victoria. I think that's the one. So I'll have to see if I can find something decent there for old mommy. And there's Dustin and Trooper. Good to see you, man. How you guys doing? Dustin is also in Kentucky, like Mom. I think Dustin, you're like in, if I remember correctly, I think you're up in. Are you in Louisville too, or are you in a different city? I couldn't remember. And Trooper's down there in Louisiana on the probably the oil rig right now. Hopefully, doing well. Hey, Lost Cause and Daniel, good to see you as well. Yeah, looking forward to doing. I've had talking about the first one. We're doing the A Silver Luck too. Good to see you. Doing the Amrut Fusion. It's going to be Cincinnati. That's what it is. Oh, mommy. Yep. Oh, mommy. Going. Good to see you, man. About 10 minutes from Kentucky, but like, yeah, it's close enough. You're a UK fan, so you're blessed. You're okay in our book, Dustin. Good to see you there, Cohen too. Yeah, this is going to be a little different, a little interesting. This is a question for Mom. Have you ever tried Indian whiskey before? Like Amrut is one of the more famous ones. I want to say Papa John. I'm thinking of the pizza guy. Oh, what is it? It's Papa Sean. No, what is that? What is that other Indian distillery that's pretty big? I'm trying to remember. Hey, Molasses, good to see you. And Mark Stengel. Um, Let me see. There's another Balcones headed towards you. A Malt Muser. Oh wow, but didn't make it in time as a sherry single malt, single barrel, single. Oh wow, cast strength sample. Well, that's awfully generous of you, man. We'll definitely throw it in on an like another show. We'll pick our something to open it up with, and then we'll do that one in the second hour, and that'll be a really a good deal. It looks like somebody already finished his bottle of fusion. Have not. Oh, okay. Yeah, ask Dave if he's had a Emirates. Is Paul John? That's who I'm thinking of. Sorry, guys. I was having Papa John on the brain because we were talking about Kentucky. Poor Papa John. Anyway, yeah, the Paul John's pretty decent too. I've had some of their stuff at whiskey tastings. Yeah, that's the one, Dustin. They do fairly well at whiskey tastings, it seems. I found it pleasant. I didn't run up and down screaming down the driveway after I had it, but they're not off-putting drams or anything like that. Uh, yeah, it seems like I was for a second there. Rampur, okay, is from India. I don't think I've heard of that one. That's one. That's one I'll have to check out on the side. Just had some cloudy Glen Scotia. Still got some left. Would you like some more? No, I've actually got some left too. I was going to package to somebody like Stephen Connor or somebody just to see if they thought I was crazy. But it's okay, but it's a little wonky. I mean, I kind of want like some other opinions too. So I'm gonna do and send your sample to, just pick somebody random and see what they think of it. Uh, those turncoats, Papa John's moved to Atlanta. Oh man! Speaking of turncoats, let's get.
I'm a regular Benedict Arnold.
How you doing, man? How you doing? Sorry, there wasn't a good segue. You're not a turncoat, but
no, not me.
I couldn't find a good segue to get in there.
Happy Tasty Tuesday to you and to whiskey friends in the chat.
Oh man, looks like everybody's trying to get rid of that cloudy Glen Scotia they've got.
Yeah, we just had a funeral on my channel's happy hour. Last sip of that, and 3 of my supporters on Patreon won a raffle to get samples, so they all got to taste it tonight. We did a little live thing; it was real fun. So,
nice. And how did the 3? I will watch it. Just in one word, was it all the same?
Yeah, their comments, which I posted up as they were drinking it, were everything that you basically said as well and would expect, and it was quite a thing. So, yeah, a lot of fun.
I do have a little bit saved up. I'm thinking I might, since Stephen Connor's been really, really nice to us both.
Yeah, Stephen was on the happy hour as well and caught it. So yeah, if there's a little bit left to send him, definitely worth it. He's been there each and every week and has had comments on it as well. So it's a lot of fun.
I did save some. I had a couple sips because I was curious, and it wasn't like horrible or anything. It was just so different than what I expected, and I thought, yeah, I would love to see what it's.
You thought it was much worse than interesting. Don't be bashful now. I remember you saying the word chlorine came up.
There was a hint of chlorine in that trio.
Yeah, subtle note of chlorine.
Should I even bother sending it to Steven since it's that bad?
You definitely do. Steven needs to have it. As I said, he's been, Steven comes into the happy hour every couple weeks and was definitely there tonight and has been there and had comments about the bottle I showed him. So he definitely is up and up on Mr. Cloudy.
Oh man, yeah, I did save a little bit. So, Steven, if you're interested, let me know on the side, and I'll get when we swap samples.
I think it's about it's a ask for forgiveness, not permission type situation.
Yeah, that's true. I guess nobody's died yet, so if we're in the clear. Nope. He says he can't wait, so I'll definitely see if I can get it out for
him. Yeah, it'll be good.
Oh man, how you been this week? Good.
Oh, all right, man. All right, I'm hanging in there.
What'd you warm up with earlier?
Well, that's a good point. I got a couple new things finally over the couple weeks. Happy to share what they are. So, I opened up tonight. I'm sipping on a store pick of Russell's Reserve Single Barrel, which is a bourbon. It come out of Wild Turkey. It is. I had the regular single barrel release in their 10-year-old a few years ago. I didn't quite love it. It's very high corn. It's very confectionery, cherry, marshmallow, caramel corn thing. But I came across this store pick at a good price. I couldn't say no. And I think it's solidified that despite I think this being a quality bourbon, it's just not my jam. It's very, very sweet. And honestly, just doesn't have the interesting notes like the things that we tasted last week when we did bourbon. So I might send you a sample of this just for a point of reference.
Sure.
What a quality high corn, very sweet bourbon is, but it's just not my favorite.
Is there any like either nuttiness or spiciness to combat the sweetness?
Not nuttiness. I mean, this is a much more strawberry, cherry, again, marshmallow, fruity, just very confectionery. In addition to that, on the happy hour tonight, I cracked open what is it's an American single malt.
Ooh.
Called Westward.
I think I might have heard that one recently.
Yeah, this is a name that's been kind of getting some attention. They're from Oregon. I cracked this open and shared my initial tasting notes on it and got some great feedback from folks. It's pretty good. It's got they use like ale beer yeast in the mash, and so you definitely get a bit of that, but it's complementary, not overpowering. It is an NAS, but non-chill filtered, 45%. Relatively enjoyed it. I think this is going to be fun to see what happens with a little oxygen. And then I got something which I know you know about, but I happened to come across.
Oh yeah, the cake.
Tale of Cake, which is the new limited release from Glenmorangie. I couldn't say no. I said, the hell with it. You and I had been talking about doing 2 Glenmorangie tastings. I haven't opened this yet. I will probably open it next week on my happy hour and do a tasting. But then you and I will definitely do this live as a tasting, probably early 2021, along with probably another Glenmorangie. So
As I say, as a pairing, I'm thinking of maybe like something basic, like the either like a 12 Lasanta or maybe I think Lasanta. I haven't had Lasanta in ages, and
in a long time.
It's a favorite,
Probably go great with that. So yeah,
I'll take us.
We're going to do a Glenmorangie tasting, and Telex will have a sample of this in hand to taste. Just for everybody who may not know about it, I mean, this packaging is just next level.
That is crazy.
It is 46%. It is a Tokaji dessert wine cask finish, which is a Hungarian wine.
Wow.
It would be very, very sweet. I do like the fact that it's 46%. It's probably natural, not natural color, and probably chill filtered, but whatever. It's 46%, and I think a lot of these private releases from Glenmorangie are really good. This is the bottle. So I'm going to crack this open for a first tasting next week on my happy hour, and then we will definitely do a full-on tasting of this. I mean, we got a heavy schedule ahead of us in early so this will be early 2021, but.
Yeah, I'll definitely pick up a bottle of the Lasanta 12 on the side, and I've been sipping a Deanston 12, which is one we'll be doing also in early. Coming up fairly soon, we'll be doing. I got us a Deanston 12 and a Deanston 20 Oloroso cask, which is going to be really fun to dive into.
Yeah, have you got anything? Speaking of, you got anything else new this week?
A couple of things. Distantly, probably in like January 2020, maybe February, I did pick us up a couple Kilhomans. They're both, interestingly, they're lightly peated Kilhomans. They're also both from Jack Rose, selective barrels. One's a sherry hogshead and one's a bourbon. I believe it might be first fill as well. And they're both around 150 each, so they're not cheap whiskeys, but they're actually easy to find if you got a place that's got Kilhoman on the menu, and worth a pickup. Hopefully, we'll find out later.
Yeah, definitely, those will be interesting. I'm always down for a good Kilhoman, and actually, I still have a bottle of Kilhoman Mocker Bay at cask strength, and so maybe we could pair that with those two and do maybe 3 tastings or something.
That'd be cool. Yeah, I can't say no.
Yeah, no, I mean, Mocker Bay is a really good whiskey, but at cask strength, come on now.
Oh man, I like the Mocker Bay by itself, and I can only imagine how good the cask strength version of that is.
For sure.
Oh man.
Yeah, I'm going to put a little Amrut peated or Amrut fusion in my glass and get it settled, and we'll dive into this relatively soon here.
Yeah, I put just a little bit ago, and had it sitting in glass for a little bit, and I am very curious and eager because I've luckily had an Amrut before. I had the rye though, which is I know completely different, but it's the same Indian distillery, so it should have kind of a similar profile, I would think, at least. But I'm trying to think I don't know if I've ever had any other Amruts besides the rye before. It might be the only one.
I've had the Amrut, just their regular entry-level release. I think I did a review on it. It's pretty solid.
What's it called? Is it just called?
Yeah, it's called Amrut. Yeah, it's just called.
That's it? Okay.
Yeah. Well, why don't we give the tale of the tape here? So, Amrut Fusion. Amrut is a distillery in India. This is a quote, subtle fusion of Indian and Scottish barleys to produce a malt whiskey rich in flavor and character. There you go. Interesting thing about Amrut is they are in Bangalore. And because of their elevation, the angel share, in other words, the amount of whiskey that actually evaporates out of their barrels each like over the course of every year is actually like really significant, much higher than any of the bourbons or scotches. So they lose quite a bit of their stuff. This one in particular is bottled at 50% ABV. It is not chill filtered, and it is natural color. So a lot of good things on that end of things. This is not, I wouldn't say, an exclusive whiskey. I mean, for folks who've never had it or would be interested in it, you can probably find Amrut Fusion, or at least some Amruts, readily available in most liquor stores. Here's what the bottle looks like. So this is coming in at a lot of really good specs. I mean, 50% non-chill natural. It does have this interesting, it touches upon the whole argument about terroir in the sense of like, here we got some Scottish barley, Indian barley, what are the differences? I mean, Provence is so, for people who are really big on terroir, the Provence stuff is really like, kind of like people are adamant who believe in it that where the barley is grown, at what climate, and all of that can like really make a measurable, significant influence on a whiskey. Whereas, other people think it's just marketing fluff. Maybe we can talk more about terroir later, but
yeah,
that is the tale of the tape of the Amrut Fusion. I will just add this. It says this malted barley is carefully mashed, distilled, and then matured in select oak barrels in Bangalore, which is 3,000 feet above sea level, tropical climate. So like, the amount of evaporation they get in their barrels is significant, which is probably why a whiskey like this, which is an NAS, still comes in at a relatively hefty price tag of about $75.
Yeah, supposedly this is 4 to 5 years at least, plus maybe like an additional 3 months in the bourbon barrels kind of thing. So yeah, 50% ex-bourbon cask. I'm definitely already intrigued. The legs run really slow, which is nice, probably because of the 50%.
Yeah, and here's what the color looks like. As I said, 50% non-chill, natural color. So clicking all the right boxes. And yeah, no age statement, but as Telex said, I think he said something like it might be in the 5-year range.
Yeah, 4 to 5 years is what they think, from what I'm reading.
I know that their standard release has been said by some folks being the 3 to 4 year. And I'll tell you, it, despite having some edges, drinks better in terms of its complexity and lack of edges. While it is somewhat edgy, it's not over the top. It drinks a little bit older than you might think. So
yeah,
okay.
I'm definitely eager. It's and Steven's right. We had a specialized one, some sort of port pipe release they had. It was that the Bengal Tiger peated port pipe, very specific, specialized in the. If I think it was it a Ruby or Tawny port? Do you know, Steven? I think it was Ruby, and I think I figured out I'm a big fan of Ruby versus Tawny port in general. Just recently.
Yeah, Ruby port's like the younger, kind of more juicy cloying, I think, and the Tawny is the more aged port, if I understand correctly.
Yeah, you usually get more like nuttiness and salty brininess from Tawny port than you do. I like the rich ruby fruits from the Ruby port. That's how I try to remember it, at least.
Indeed. So,
ooh, wow.
first nosing here of the Amrut Fusion. What do you want to go first?
Well, we could just go back and forth. The first thing I got definitely was a nice, and it was a different spice, not your typical like Chinese allspice or like anise. Maybe it was kind of like more like a star anise type of.
Interesting.
Like saffron and like lots of really, really good deep spices.
My initial nose, it's nutmeg, it's hint of clove, it's coriander, and it's tropical fruit, and it is a lot of tropical fruit. I'm thinking like not pineapple. It's not a very citrus. It's more like
coconut in there, definitely.
Coconut, mango, almost like papaya or whatever that is. It's much more of that kind of fruit. But as you continue to nose it, you go deeper in it, you get more of that oak barrel character.
Yeah, and some tartness to the fruit. You're right.
Really nice, interesting, and intriguing note.
Huh, it's like a roasted nut in there. Almost like a walnut or something. Huh.
Pretty solid legs, too.
Oh, yeah. I was surprised how slow they were running. In a good way. Viscosity should be pretty good, at least medium, I'm going to think.
Yep. Huh. Man, those like fresh berries and cream, like blueberry yogurt.
There's some florals in there, too.
For sure. For sure.
A little lavender, maybe.
Let us know in the chat. Have any of you had the Amrut Fusion? If you have, what do you think of it? Or if there are other Amruts that you guys recommend that you've had, let us know. This one I've, not to, well, I'll wait. I'll wait to share that note until the end. There is some vanilla here though too.
Maybe a little ginger.
Yeah, for sure. Really, honestly, complex, intriguing nose. There's a lot to get into here. I think anybody who's in that, intermediate level of a whiskey drinker is going to be satisfied with how interesting this is.
Oh, yeah. And I think the ABV helps a lot here, even with the nose. I think it kind of amplifies a lot of all the nuances you can get off of it.
Mm-hmm. Huh. Oh, yeah.
That's a really interesting combination of citrus and spice, white pepper together.
Pepper, almost cayenne. I mean, it's really aggressive on that first taste on the tongue. A lot of tingle, a lot of it reminds you almost like if it's virgin oak, where you get that heavy, spicy, almost pepper. But this is not black pepper. I mean, this is more, there's a little bit of an accent on it. It's more cayenne or something like that.
Yeah, you're right. With the white pepper, there is some sort of like caliente cayenne pepper going on. Not as dark as a black pepper type thing. It's surprisingly fruitier than I thought it was going to be.
A lot fruitier, yeah. And the bourbon notes. The bourbon notes, I think, assert themselves quite a bit. And it's not dark bourbon notes. I mean, we're talking more in that middle range. Light brown sugar, light caramel. It's not the fruitiness as I was alluding to on that wild turkey, but a lot of spice on the palate and a medium finish. And it's just medium. It's almost shorter than you'd maybe expect, but it's like, I think it's hovering around that medium. You get some nice caramel, almost malted milk ball note. There's a little bit of maybe cappuccino espresso kind of thing, like a coffee drink, a light roast coffee with a little chocolate sprinkle on top, maybe a little milk in it.
Getting a little bit of tea, like a tea bag kind of a flavor with lots of that. The orange and lemon goes on a while for me, but yeah, I'd say medium finished.
Yeah, orange for sure. You're right.
It's a lot of oranges, tea, and lemons in there. It's wild. It doesn't, even though it's 50, it doesn't taste super hot, which is nice.
Yeah, so that's interesting. I've actually thought that first sip was hot. I'm going to go in for a second now. I mean, I think the first one, again, I think sometimes when you drink a whiskey you haven't had for a long time or for a first time, with high ABV, especially in NAS, you tend to get the shock of whether it's pepper or high alcohol ethanol note. It's sometimes hard to pick apart between the two. For me, it was more the pepper that time, but there was definitely an edge to it. I'm going to go in now for that second taste.
For me, this really nice roasted chocolate walnut taste lingers for a while after the citrus goes away. It kind of reminds me a little bit of like a Signet almost. It's got that chocolate kind of maltiness.
Oh, that's interesting.
On the back. It's weird. It's good though.
I feel like I know what you're talking about, but this is I think this is a much more, for me, a much more dynamic whiskey.
Oh yeah.
Signet, I think, is very, I mean, I like the Signet, but you do not get these vibrant edges. You don't get this pop of the spice.
I'm just talking about the roasted chocolate, that specific.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah, I'm with you on that.
That roasted chocolate note reminded me of that aspect that singles out kind of like the Signets. All I was.
Man, it's like you just had a really good like mocha amaretto. Finish is actually hanging on pretty well now on the second taste. I feel like you're over that initial shock, which is why I think the second taste can be so important. Never judge a book by its cover, never judge a whiskey by its first sip, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's an iron rule, but I just feel like once that spice tames down on the palate, you do get a lot more creaminess. You get a lot more of the kind of balance that was missing on that first taste. And again, coriander, I don't know if I want to say, I'm not going to try and go out on a limb on the spice notes here, but coriander is definitely here. Nutmeg and allspice are definitely here. I'm not sure I necessarily get, I think you said clove earlier. I don't know if I'm getting clove the way you did.
No, not clove, like a star anise
saffron. I'm not getting the licorice note really at all. When I breathe out, which I think is also a good way to like pick up extra notes, to really just breathe out after you've taken a sip of something. I get a little bit of it, but it's extremely faint. It's not one of the definitely the spices. The spices in the fruit are more prevalent than anything else. That spicy Chinese allspice / saffron almost like note. That's like, I think it's your coriander. It's all kind of similar. Yeah.
Nutmeg. It's those, I could also get pieces of that in there as well. So I know what you mean.
Yeah.
The florals are really nice in this one too, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
If you do like florals and whiskey, some people are kind of up and down. At first, I never really got into them, and the more I got into whiskey, and the more I appreciated all the different things after sherry and peat and smoke and all that. Now I'm getting into like some of the floral whiskeys a little more.
I just put about half teaspoon of water on this.
Me too, man. This got sweet on the nose.
Vanilla notes, those bourbon notes really come out. Also, the citrus.
Yeah, almost got like a candy, one of those toffee candy corn, a crunch and munch kind of a nose.
Yeah.
Definitely a confectiony sugar, powdered sugar kind of thing too. That's interesting. It's like it tamed the spice, I guess, a little bit.
It definitely did, yeah.
Wow, you're right. It brings the bourbon aspects out of that a lot with just a one drop. Wow. I think I prefer it maybe with a drop, just a drop, like a little subtle drop. Because I still get my spice even with that drop of water too.
Yeah, I do too. It isn't drowning it out. It's still it's holding its own, and that 50% ABV is helping with that.
Big time. If it was 40 or 43, there's no way.
Yeah, this would have fallen apart for sure.
This is why it's always look at 46. Maybe it should be like the entry ABV on Scotch in general. If it's not 46, man, it's really tough to work with. Unless you're like,
and I mean, not to be contrarian, but I also feel like we should expect enough from a whiskey that like they should use, a 40% ABV whiskey should be fucking good.
It should be, but man, it's really hard to get a good cast.
Unfortunately, maybe not so much the case these days.
It's really hard unless you've got a really kick-ass cask to go with that 40%. That's, I think.
Yeah, and let us know in the chat. 40% or 43% ABV. Yeah, fuck it. 40% ABV single malt scotches that you think punch above their weight in terms of what they bring. I'd love to hear if anybody has some that come to mind. And Telex, mull that over as well. I know that folks in the UK, if we have anybody still up, like they get lower ABV versions of a lot of whiskeys we have, including like Lafroy 10, Highland Park 12. Sometimes they are just not, they're 40% as opposed to we get to 43 here. But I'd be curious if anybody thinks there's any 40%ers that punch above their weight. I'll tell you though, man, with the addition of water, I'm less interested in this whiskey. Like
Really?
Yeah, I think it's more bourbony. It's more malted milk ball. It's more caramel. It's more vanilla. The finish seems longer but less interesting. And I think it's because the barrel influence is just more assertive here with water. I don't think it's bad either way, but I think the vibrancy that I was getting off of that before.
Do you get any root beer off with the added water, like a little bit of a root beer on the finish at all? Like a
yes, I do. But it's not distinct enough from like the kind of chocolate caramel mocha amaretto thing I was mentioning. But it's there. And I also don't know if I necessarily think that it's good because of that. But I agree with you that it's there. I mean, you do get a bit of the effervescent, right?
This is where I think Malt and I are going to disagree a lot on this dram, and that's good. This is a good thing. I think it's funny because for me, before the water, I was not a big fan, to be honest with you. I did like the complexity of it more, but I was missing my sweetness. I love a sweet dram, and to me, when I added water to it, I'll agree with Eric. The nose might not be as interesting, but the palate and the finish to me are so much better that it's almost worth me sacrificing one or two notes to get the quality of the ones I liked the first time up a huge notch. To me, it's much, much more sweeter, and I love that about the water in this whiskey. It's weird. But it's good that we see different sides to it, because it means that most people will like it for with or without water. You know what I mean? I would think.
Yeah, you bring up a good point. I mean, I think I'm generally with you that it's sweeter. Again, I don't think this is bad I don't think it's bad no matter what. I just think that it was a little more interesting raw without the water. And normally I tend to find myself feeling as though whiskeys are a little bit better with water. This one, I'm not so sure. This one, it's moved more into, like you said, root beer, which I think is right. It's more like a cream soda for me.
Yeah.
And it's moved into this kind of bourbony range that, remove the sweet fruit note. It's become very bourbony for me on the nose. And I lose some of that spice, that cinnamon, that allspice, that nutmeg, that for me is just not quite as interesting. But again, like we're looking at an integrity malt, as some would say. This is 50%. This is non-chill. It's natural. Unfortunately, there's no age statement, but given the world that Amrut lives in, I'm not, going to ding them too much for that.
Yeah, I mean, it tastes like a good 5-year whiskey, which is what I would expect. But I had to tell you, like for me, it was a bit different. The initial taste was like, well, I don't dislike it. It's not that I think it's wrong. I just thought it wasn't, as for me, balanced enough with that sweetness until I added a drop. It was so spice / citrus acidic forward with all that was going on. It needed something just to bring it all together. But to me, this kind of dictates that this is really a great dram, because with or without, it pleases both of us to a pretty high, level, I would say.
Yeah, I agree. I'd be curious if you think that. Well, let me think about it for like when you talk about the sweet notes. Do you feel as though on that first or second tasting you did neat that like they were like I guess I'll put it this way. Were they overwhelmed by the spice for you? Or did you feel as though they were just like I found it more in balance without water? Whereas I think you're saying that the water is what actually brought out the sweet notes. And this might just be a subjective difference of sweetness. I think that you and I are both in agreement that like this is a well-crafted whiskey. We respect Amrut for what they're doing here, and this is good and something that we would probably recommend to folks. But I'm curious if, like you think I'm curious the level of spice, the spice to water or the spice to sweetness that you kind of lost or that you found within that transition.
I think what saved this dram for me was that, like, as we talk usually about Ardbeg 10's a really good example. I'm not a big fan of the really citrusy drams like that. Lemon lime is not my favorite flavor in general. So this one is more of an orange lemon, which I respect, and I do like an orange lemon. But to me, the citrus level and the spice level was so assertive that it needed something else. Because I do love a spice bomb, like like Craig Ellicky 13. I thought was a really good dram, and I like a lot of I like a lot of spicy drams. I think the spice with the combination of the level of citrus with this one was at first what kind of threw me off, and at first I was like, I don't know if I would like it. I mean, I respect it for a complex dram, but man, a lot of the notes were a little over the top, and since there wasn't like a lot of sweetness there, if that was already there from the beginning, then I probably would have been like, oh, I do prefer neat to.
You wouldn't say it's bitter though, right?
I think the combination of the citrus and the spice was so high that it gave it a kind of metal-like edge to it at the beginning for me on the palate. I did prefer the nose pre-water, but the palate, I think the water made it so good because it brought out all those bourbon qualities like you were talking about, like the caramel, the toffee, the brut beer, the sassafras, the spice level was still there for the palate for me. The molasses got in there. The chocolate was still there. It kept rolling and got sweeter and sweeter. But it's kind of.
I just went in for another pour neat, and for me, I think it's on my palate. I would take this neat all day over water. I just think it becomes a bit more base, a bit more for me like. It just becomes less interesting. I think that I'm getting the dynamism neat at 50%, which of course is a lot. And like, I think a lot of folks, you put water on something that's as hot as 50% ABV. Maybe it's just tonight, but I'm really finding more to explore and more to enjoy here on neat. But again, I think these are like relatively trivial in comparison to like the malt that we're talking about, but
yeah, I will agree with you that the second taste I went back to neat too, and I do miss that walnut chocolate note on the palate. I got neat that I don't get with the water, so that part I do miss out on. But the cool thing about this, and why I will give it a high score, is that it is different both ways, and you can play with it and fine tune it exactly the way you want it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Let me put you on the spot. So this is, after all, a, quote, fusion of Indian and Scottish barley. Any difference you can tell?
Oh, yeah. I mean, when you're talking about the terroir thing, I always got a huge difference, even when you go to like Brooklady and you go to like the Bear barley versus the Scottish barley versus the Isla barley, especially with like Kilchoman does the same kind of thing. To me, I definitely taste a difference. Now, the difference is not like night and day difference like peat versus sherry. It's almost like, your PX versus Oloroso versus different types of sherry. To me, the terroir is kind of similar to that. And for me, this Indian barley they're using, I think it might be where they're getting that coriander and that really high level of intense spice without it being over the top in your face. I'm surprised the black pepper wasn't there, but I'm glad it's not, because I think it would have been way too much spice if it was, had a lot of dark spices with it. So.
I'm with you. I mean, I think this is unique. I don't know if I can. I think a few more Amrut tastings, excuse me, would help us decipher even more to build on what you're saying from the Scottish versus Indian barley. But I think it's distinctive, no doubt. I mean, I'm ready to go into kind of final thoughts on this if you are.
Yeah.
Cool.
Go ahead first.
I think this is a really good whiskey. Given Amrut's geographical challenges, the idea of putting out something with an age statement at the price it would be, given how much they lose to Angel Share, is significant. I think what they're doing here, going higher ABV, non-chill natural, all pluses. I think this is really good. This is much better than their standard release. And they do have a lot of other ones. And so I definitely encourage folks to explore those and share in the chat if you've had them. For me, I think this is a 3.75 out of 5. And that is, I think people should try this and definitely buy it if you find it at a good price. And a good price, I think, is $70 or less.
Well, that's a great value.
Especially for folks who are like interested in something a little bit different. I don't think you can get the full thing out of this. If you drink this after you've only been into Scotch for a year, I don't think you're going to enjoy this as much as somebody's been in 4 or 5 years. But I think there's a lot to explore here, and that's where the real interest lies, and it's going to come in at a good price. So yeah, I'll sit happy at 3.75 out of 5.
I think it sounds pretty good. Yeah, I'm not far apart from them at all. I think it's a solid dram. I really commend them. Since it is, you said no coloring, no chill filtering on this one.
Correct.
And you've got even though there's not a technical age statement, they believe it's 4 to 5 years, and I can see this being right in that, and the 3 months in the bourbon barrels afterward. 50% is a great ABV. I love the way it plays with the water, as far as it gives you the ability to play with the water, I should say. And I went back and I was enjoying it neat with that toasted chocolate note that I was missing. But I love the root beer and the sassafras and the molasses I was getting with the water. Man, I would love to if I could get this at a 15-year mark. Holy moly, it'd be good.
I mean, it'll be $400, but if it comes out, maybe we'll figure it out.
I hope that's not the case, but I could see. I mean, hopefully age doesn't wreck it, because it honestly is damn good out of the gate at 4 to 5 years old. And I know it sounds crazy, but I'm going to give this a 4 out of 5 because just the fact of how well it handles water and how complex it is with and without, and how diverse it is. Even though to me the neat was a little on the rougher side on the palate, everything else to me was like spot on perfect. So I'm thinking a 4 out of 5 is fair for me on this one.
Good deal. So I'd love to get 3.75 from me, a 4 out of 5 from Telex Whiskey Tech on the Amrut Fusion. I hope you guys enjoyed that tasting. Let us know in the chat if you've had what's up, Richie?
Did anybody say they liked
it? Had this before. If you think we're way off, if you agree with us, if you've had other Amruts you'd recommend we try, we're very much interested. And at the top of the hour, we'll get into our second tasting, which is going to be the Balcones Brimstone. Should be a lot of fun.
Yeah, Dustin
hold for a second. I'm going to go get some water, so I'll be right back.
All right, man. Dustin is saying 5 years isn't only at Telex. They want $400+ for their 8-year. For context, wow, 8 years is like 25 years from them. That's crazy prices, though, man. I mean, I guess if people pay that for it, then I don't know. I get the feeling the Scottish barley that is used as broccoli in the Amrut Fusion. Trying to see if I couldn't detect with that Indian barley being there. There's no way I could tell you what type of Scottish barley they were using in that, but I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, they do have good barley up at Brooklotti. I like all their different types that they have up there. Looks like there's some people are talking about rum. On the Fusion and the Amrut shirt. Both are excellent. Interesting. Cool. So would you agree with us about the 3.75 to 4 out of 5 on that one? And were your take similar to what we were getting as far as the water versus not the water, and the sweet levels with the water versus the complexity without the water and things like that? I'm just curious. Oh my God. I, that's something I won't be doing right now. Thanks though, Mom. Trying to do math. Oh man, that's what calculators are for, right? Let me put El Malt back in here. She was saying that's a combined score of 3.875. This is my mom, if you didn't know her, Erica. She's actually on the show.
Oh, hi, Donna. Nice to meet you. Thanks for joining us tonight.
That's old mommy.
We're getting into good old-fashioned healthy fun.
Oh, let's see. 8-year. Didn't think much of it either, but the Angel share was insanity on those.
Hey, Kenneth Clark. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, they were saying some of the, what do you call it? The age on the Amrut versus Price. Let me go back to Dustin. Is they went $400 for their 8-year for context. Wow, man, that's crazy. Do they have an 8-year that for that much for real? Hey, Donner, good to see you.
Oh, Donner's back. Yeah. What's up, Donner? Thanks for swinging by.
4.255, 4 out of 5. Cool. Okay. Yeah, I haven't had the I can't see it, intermediate, the sherry one. I'll have to try that.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, this is a distillery worth exploring. I don't think there's any doubt about it. I think they got a lot of good stuff going on. I mean, I think I'll tell you, this Fusion is damn good, man. And I think probably for somebody going out to the shop to try to buy an Amrut that they can afford, I have a hard time thinking you're going to find much better.
Gotcha. Oh, I've heard of that. The Greedy Angels, I guess. 8 years, about $400. The 10 years look like $800. My goodness. There's a 12-year too. I mean, I hate to see the price on that sucker.
Yeah, I mean, they lose so much whiskey because of their elevation. I think that's
oh, no wonder. Okay, so it's
Yeah, their Angel Care situation is brutal.
What is the elevation typically in where?
Feet.
Oh wow. Okay.
So yeah, they got problems with that. I mean, but problems isn't the right way to frame it, but you know what I'm saying.
So is there any place I guess they can't go to the shore of where India meets the Indian Ocean, and
Paul or Rampur is in comparison, but
sounds like
you have climate. I mean, it's less about the climate and more about barometric pressure. The pressure is what actually changes the whiskey. I mean, the climate does, but it's more so the atmospheric pressure on barrels, which is what forces the whiskey to go in and out of it. At least that's from what I know. So you got climate, or atmospheric pressure plus climate. I mean, they're just in that's just kind of their jam. It's part of what they got to deal with.
Is the average temperature a lot hotter than Kentucky, basically?
I would assume so. I don't know. I mean, I'm not I can't tell you for sure, but I know that atmospheric pressure on a barrel is like probably one of the biggest correlations between cask influence. And I also know, I mean, other than age, right? So like the shorter the age and the higher the pressure is giving you more than like low atmospheric pressure, longer age, right? So it's like a what do they call it? Inverse slope.
Oh wow, that's crazy, Mom. I'm surprised.
Yeah. Temperature, of course, is going to play a thing as well. I mean, you see this with bourbon, but it's not just the temperature. It's actually, I think, more so the atmospheric pressure, and that is obviously correlated to like climate, which is correlated to temperature, so on and so forth.
It's all connected, man.
It's all connected, bro.
82, man, that's hot.
It's a singularity.
82 is hot. Is that a high price for Blanton's malt? I don't really.
By rationale, like the temperature at a higher elevation in India is actually much colder than the average temperature of India generally at closer to sea level, right? So what you're really talking about is more of the pressure. It's the barometer. It's the atmospheric pressure that's influencing the barrel. It's not necessarily the temperature, because you could find a mountaintop in the Himalayas that is cold enough that it would equal the temperature pressure of something in Scotland based on latitude and climate. So it's not necessarily just the temperature; it's more the pressure of the atmosphere.
Is that a real hot price there, Eric?
That's insane. Do not buy that. Yes, agreed. $166 for a bottle of Blanton's is absolutely nuts. You are overpaying up the wazoo for that. I can think of 5 other whiskeys equivalent. Better off buying with that money.
And that's
you could get some really good single barrel bourbons for 100. You get 3 of them for $166.
And then she's in Kentucky. That's the Kentucky price, believe it or not.
Don't walk away. Get a Four Roses single barrel, a Knob Creek single barrel. There's probably you could even get a 1792 or a Woodford double oaked. You get all 3 of those for that price. That is secondary bourbon prices. Those are bourbon junkies jacking up that price. And that Blanton's is good, but it's Buffalo Trace, which is, a respectable distillery, but God no, 160. You're hard pressed to pay over $80 for that. 70 maybe.
You have zero idea how hard it is to get bourbon. I understand.
I totally believe it, but that doesn't negate the fact that you shouldn't spend $170 or $168 on a bottle of Blanton's, nor does it negate the fact that you can get stuff shipped to Ohio. So I'm sorry, but if that's the going price for a bottle of Blanton's, take your business elsewhere.
Wow. I poured a little up to see how that's gonna.
I mean, a bottle of regular single barrel Four Roses, DH Silver just mentioned, for retail. You're trying to tell me that that's more than $45? I mean, I was at the distillery. I went to the distillery, and they had bottles of regular single barrel for $45, and that's at the distillery. I have a hard time thinking you can't get a regular release of Four Roses single barrel for less than, name your price. It should be 50 or less, I would think.
Yeah, you can't legally ship there. That's part of the issue.
Is that true?
Yeah.
Legally winesearcher.com. I think you can definitely get stuff shipped to Ohio. And even if I'm wrong, I on that point, I don't think it negates the fact that the idea that somehow a $160 bottle of Blanton's is a fair price. That seems extreme to me. I'm sure if anybody's in Ohio, I know DH Silv 2 is in Ohio. I mean, I'm talking about what you could get for $166 that I think would give you same or better value. You could get a bottle of Knob Creek single barrel, Four Roses single barrel, 1792 or Woodford Reserve double oaked, I imagine, at retail price at any store in Ohio for the equivalent of a $166 bottle of Blanton's.
Oh man, they just got dropped. That's not good. Oh man.
Well, I'm talking about Ohio. Okay, yeah. That's fair, but still, I think you know what I'm saying. And maybe we were just talking past each other on that. What I'm saying is that there are bottles of bourbon which are, I think, of comparable quality that are much cheaper than what one would pay for Blanton's at $166. And the idea is you could buy 3 of them for the price of $166 Blanton's. That's what I meant. So if that wasn't clear, please accept my restatement of that.
Oh my.
I mean, if $166 is the going price for Blanton's anywhere, walk away. It's the same with Weller or any of that stuff. I mean, that's inflated by bourbon secondary market prices, in my opinion.
What is Dave drinking now, Mom? He usually is pretty good.
Better than Blanton. I mean, okay, that's a statement.
What happened?
I agree with you. He says 101 is better than Blanton's. I wouldn't agree with that, but I get his sentiment.
What is Dave drinking now, Mom? I know he was always pretty good at finding the next bourbon out there that people usually would latch onto. I know he was in the 1792 stuff for a bit, but I don't know if he's still doing that one or something different. Just out of curiosity.
1992 ain't bad, man. They have a foolproof. It's solid.
The Beck's Mixer Diet Coke, but neat. Get the one.
No, come on, man. It's realistic. It's not that. I mean, it's not yellow label 4 Roses.
He won't even tell us. What the hell? That's not fair. There's not enough of us to, dictate a block on all the good stuff, man.
Yeah, that's true. I'm gonna do a little bit more of this Russell's while we prep for our second tasting here, man.
Oh man, it's
this one's gonna be a lot of fun because this is gonna be like and I'm calling it now. This is gonna be one of the most bizarre whiskey experiences Telex has, because it certainly was mine. And I'm not saying it's good or bad. I'm just saying it is a singular experience. And let us know in the chat. In about 5 minutes, we'll get into it. But let us know in the chat, like, do y'all got opinions about what is somewhat known among some folks as this Texas whiskey explosion and the innovation they're doing, et cetera, et cetera. We are going to explore a bottle that fits right into that. And I'm going to be really interested to hear what people have to say about their opinions about, quote, Texas whiskey in general, and about the whiskey that we're about to sample, which is the Balcones Brimstone. Telex, you want to pour some of that in the glass and get it ready?
I've had it poured and ready. I always do before the show just to get a little ready. I pour a little bit out, and then I pour a little bit more, and I save a lot for a second go.
I was almost at the end, so what I have is a, quote, quick size dram.
Oh.
For those in the know.
Is Brimstone made with the figs and other weird stuff? I did kind of do a little look on the side, and it's a smoked corn whiskey. It's like 100% hoppy blue corn, which makes me kind of worried.
All right. Yeah, we're close enough to the top. You want me to give the tail of the tape here?
Sure. I was kind of catching up. Stephen Connor says he's never had it. He's never had a Texas whiskey, and he's okay with that. Oh, man. Texas whiskey is impossible. Oh, man. It's fit for armadillos, cacti, and fleas, but not perfect. Oh man, they're hating already. He liked the single malt and the French oak. Oh, I didn't know that Balcones had a French oak. That's pretty cool. Is it a lot different than the Glenlivet 15 French oak? I'm just curious. Looking forward to your Brimstone tasting notes. I own it on Flaviar at the moment since I can get it for $54 after tax with free shipping, about $20 cheaper than locals. Wow, that's really cool to know. Does not fit into Texas Whiskey Explosion. It's a unique bottle that they're different from everything else they do. Yeah, I have had a Balcones before, and I think it was just the basic one, and it wasn't, and it wasn't anything off track. This one, just from a nose drive-by, I could tell it's a lot different. Hopefully someone did not squirt blue food coloring into the Old Crow. That would not be good, Mom. Oh my gosh. Well, good to see you there, Cody, sorry, Dram.
Hey, Cody.
Balcones with figs and other things, huh? No, I don't think this one is a figgy bottle. Go ahead and tell us about it there, Malt.
All right. So we are just at the top of the hour, which means tasting number 2 here on the Telex and Malt Show. What we got for you tonight is Brimstone from Balcones. Balcones is a Texas distillery. It is located in Waco, Texas, a city that most Americans who have been alive more than 30 years know something about, and for not great reasons. But we're going to seek to revert that trend about the great city of Waco with this tasting tonight. The Brimstone, for those who are interested, This is, quote, it is made from roasted blue corn. It is a Texas scrub oak smoked whiskey at 53% non-chill filtered. For those of you who may not know, Balcones is part of what has been a explosion of Texas whiskey distilleries. Texas whiskey is becoming a thing in the United States. I've had some good samples of whiskeys from them, which I quite enjoyed. But let me tell you a bit about the one we're going to look at tonight, which is a heavily smoked whiskey. So here's what it has to say. Non-chill filtered is always aged at least 1 day in oak. This one-of-a-kind whiskey is smoked with the sun-baked Texas scrub oak using our, quote, secret process. The result is a whiskey full of fresh, youthful corn and light fruit notes, blah, blah, blah. Whether you like smoky whiskeys or just have a penchant for big, new flavors, Brimstone is sure to be memorable pour and some tasting notes. Purification through fire. So that is the tail of the tape here. It is non-chill filtered. It is 43%. It is heavily smoked. For those of you who are into Scotch, like Telex and I.
You mean 53, right?
53. We know a thing or two about smoke. But what we're about to experience here, this is not a flavored whiskey. So they have not put flavor in here. This is the raw, real deal. This is a smoked Texas blue corn whiskey. And with that, we will get into the notes. Here's one more look at the bottle. This is around $55 to $60.
How long ago was your first initial taste of this one?
About it's been a while, probably 6 months. And I will just add, before we begin, that this will be an interesting one to score because this is what I would characterize as one of the most singular whiskey experiences that I've had. I'm not saying that's good or bad. I'm just saying it is what it is. This is different. This is a different plane. And with that, Telex, I am going to hand it over to you for the initial nosing. Take it away.
God help us all. Wow. Look at that color, man. That is a nice color. It is. I will say 53%'s got my ears perked up a bit, you know. So that's a good thing. I'll add one more thing. I know I keep going, but I want to premise this by saying I sent this to Telex because I thought Telex is going to find this to be one of the most unique whiskeys he's maybe ever tries, and I hope this doesn't disappoint. So let's get into it. Really nice legs. 53%, I'm sure, helps that a whole lot. But the mouth coat should be at least medium, I would say, maybe even heavy, because it's really standing up pretty well. Ooh, it's a really, it's definitely a different type of smoke. It's not like what I would consider like a Isla smoke or anything like that. But it's not like a bad synthetic smoke. You can tell there is. It's almost like a really nice when they take the tortillas and they cook them really well. They roast them. It's got that kind of roasted tortilla with some really nice spice and fruit at the same time. It's
yeah, this is something else.
Some really nice
brisket, beef brisket, sweet barbecue sauce. We're talking brown sugar, vinegar.
Yeah, it's that thick stuff like North Carolina does.
Yeah.
It's like Carolina barbecue almost.
It's like a fusion of Carolina and which
I
is
guess
like
Texas
that light vinegar, and then like the peppery thing, and then like a little bit of the Missouri style of like thicker, darker notes. But there is definitely dark fruit in here for sure. That nose, there's no nose I've ever had that comes anywhere close to this. It's zesty. It is literally like you are grilling with your favorite rub. It's not a barbecue. It's like rub. It's like you have a nice rub on some ribs and they're sitting outside and you're smelling it out of a glass.
Really nice spice level to the nose too.
Allspice, ginger. There's
cinnamon,
coriander, not coriander, cayenne. Just It's I don't know. It's something else, man.
There's something else earthy in there. It's not chocolate, but there's something else earthy in there, and I'm trying to pick it out. It might be that
mesquite.
Yeah, mesquite corn combination.
Yeah, the corn is heavy and assertive and sweet, but it also has earthiness to it. You're absolutely right.
It's, like it's almost like a brown sugar kind of smell too.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Huh. I'm trying to figure out what that fruit is. It's got some vanilla to it. Maybe like a Dutch apple. Huh.
Let's see that. So prickly on the nose. I mean, it really smells like you're burning brush out, like you're burning hickory brush outside your house. But
and it's got like
it's sweeter. I mean, it's unmistakably mesquite. If any of you had the Wild Turkey Long Row, or even had a bag of mesquite barbecue chips, you know what I'm talking about in that sweet savory.
And it's not a vegetal nose, but it's almost like a pine. It's like a pine needle, or like maybe it's like a cactus or something. There's definitely like it's more herbal than anything else, I guess.
Wait till you try it.
On that note, it's a good nose. It's a good nose. It's
great nose. Let's be real. It's not good. That's a great nose. It's just that like, is it whiskey?
Yeah, it definitely doesn't smell like or anything Scotch related that I've ever smelled, but it is good and it's complex. I'll give them that. That's for sure.
Oh my God, on the palate.
It's just so different. All right, I guess I should go in for a little sippy,
huh? Go for it. I can't wait for this.
Oh, wow. Ooh, wow. That is actually really good. It's surprisingly good. Wow. It's got a really nice combination. Wow, it's got a little bit of menthol. It's got a little bit of a really nice sweetness to it.
Oh, yeah.
I guess it comes from the corn, but it has like a combination of vanilla, caramel, toffee, all those bourbon notes, that American oak cast are coming through on that.
Cayenne.
Really nice spice, but this isn't as spicy as the first one to me, but it's got the built-in sweetness on this one already that I thought was missing from the first one, if that makes sense. Wow, that is the nose is good, but it's definitely does not tell you what it's going to taste like, and the taste is good and surprisingly good.
It's still effervescent, like it's still in the nose on that finish. Sweet, savory. Oh man, it's it's something, man. It's just something. It is dry rub barbecue.
Oh wow. There's like this ginger snap finish, man. Oh my God, that's good. It's like the perfect amount of the ginger twingeness with the sugar. It's very sweet, surprisingly, but in a good way. It doesn't remind me of corn whiskey like wow. I think the spice and just that funkiness, it's a good funkiness. It's like I don't know if I wouldn't say leather. It's not dry.
It's dry. No, I think the finish is drying.
You think it's drying? I'm trying to. I got such a effervescence and such a sweetness from it. It's almost like I don't mind it being dry.
You just bit into a peppery dry rub baby back rib. Not with sauce, dry rub. Cayenne, oregano. Man, not oregano. I'm sorry. Almost allspice, clove.
Wow, it's spicy, yeah. Oh, there's this one note. I don't know what it is. There's this one note it's a combination of sweet and spicy together. And it's very sweet. It's so damn good, but I can't think of how I describe it. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I do.
What?
It's like what have you ever had? What is that? It's a very commercial barbecue sauce, and they do a sweet and spicy version of it. Sweet Baby Ray's. You ever had that? So take away the sugar cloyingness. It's that fucking pop, man. It's the peppery pop, but it's overcoated with the sweetness. This is like a refined homemade version of Sweet Baby Ray's sweet and spicy.
It's what it is. It's a combination of light and dark brown sugar, light brown sugar and dark brown sugar together. It's like the perfect amount, though. You would think saying that it would be too sweet or too spicy over the top, but it's actually right on the money. I wouldn't change anything about it, really.
Paprika? Like Spanish paprika, the smoked paprika, the ham flavored substitute. Totally there.
Yeah, it's like a Virginia ham. It's like a Virginia ham with brown sugar on the side and like a little pineapple. Oh man, a little
bit of tartness. It's almost like red wine, like a red wine vinegar that you would reduce your onions in.
Man, this is actually. I know Mom was knocking the Texas whiskey earlier, but I tell you what, Mom, this is actually not bad at all. I'm surprised at how good this comes for $54 too.
Better than bad. It's good.
$54, seriously? I'm surprised they're not charging a lot more.
I think this is more in the $60 range, but let me check the going price. And Daniel, if Daniel's in the chat, he can tell us because he's a native. But yeah, this is $50 to $60. Mostly in the low 50s, to be honest with you.
I'm not sure what she means by plus and the minus. No, I like both light and dark brown sugar. I don't think they cancel each other out at all. I think it's got both. It's got the light brown sugar you get off that, and then you get the more molassesy, thicky, dark flavor from the dark version. It's got both sides to it.
It's an incredibly singular experience. And like that's what I was saying in the onset. Like, I'm not saying this is like great whiskey or bad whiskey. It's just a unique whiskey.
Dustin doesn't think he's called it good, and Kenny doesn't believe that it's that good either.
Sorry, what was that?
DHS Dustin was saying that he's not sure if he call it good.
I'm not. Look,
Kenny doesn't believe it's that good.
I think Kenneth Clark and Dustin DH Silv 2 are right. This is not a whiskey that I can describe that way. It's an experience, but it's not a flavored whiskey experience. It's not like you just drank Jack Daniel's American Honey or some other thing where they, it's shit. A Red Stag from Jim Beam. This is a quality made whiskey. I'm not going to judge whether or not you think it's good or not. I'm just going to say that's what it is.
Yeah.
And it is the reason I sent you a sample of this is strictly for this reason, because have you ever had a whiskey like this?
I can't say I have, but I have. This kind of reminds me a little bit of some of the, man,
I'm going to be interested to hear your comparison because I can't think of one.
I mean, it's not anything like it, but the only thing remotely close I could think is there are some Cavalans that kind of remind me of this kind of spicy, sweet flavor combination with the smoke, but it's not. You don't see it very often. It's extremely, I would say it's extremely rare. I'm surprised that you don't see, like, this is what, like, distilleries like Jura and people that want to deal with smoke, this is what they should be doing, I think, is something kind of like this, because this has really got a nice flavor to it. I really like this. To me, the sweetness is perfect out of the gate compared to that other one. I did like that first one too, but this one is like, Man, and it stays with you. That finish is long.
Yeah,
It's
really
very,
long.
very
It's
long.
really long.
Very, very, very long. Oh my.
What a whiskey.
It's insane. I honestly cannot get over that this is only $50 to $60. If I blind tasted this, I wouldn't think it's an old whiskey or anything like that, but I would get the high ABV. I would get that it's got some really interesting charred oak casks going on, and it's powerful. It's well balanced. It's got some interesting notes.
They know what they're doing.
This one makes me think. This one makes me not afraid to try more Texas stuff. We'll put it that way. I will say that. Definitely try before buy, because this is one of those whiskeys. Just kind of looking on the side at how it was rated recently, and it looked like a lot of people were like a love it or hate it kind of a thing. Which I'm definitely, I think, more on the love side than the hate side, but I will say that if you don't like assertive flavor, if you don't like strong flavor, you're not going to like it, because there's nothing subtle about this whiskey that I can think of.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I've went down to 2 teaspoons of water on this, and it is still the exact flavors you mentioned are just dominant.
Wow. Any changes for you on the water thing?
No. Honestly, this thing, it's so overpowered by that barbecue note. I may be getting a little more citrus, but this whiskey is not one to trifle about nuances with. It really isn't. Like, if you're searching for nuances in a whiskey like this for too long, you're missing the point. And
right.
That's what I would say about this. What the point of this whiskey is exactly what you're getting, and I respect that.
Huh. I think it did bring.
I mean, it tones down the spice note on the palate, but like, let's be real. For me, at least in terms of the flavor profile, you just get a little bit more vanilla caramel with water. But like, this is, again, the reason that I thought this would be fun is exactly what we're doing right now, which is that it's just how do you, like, it's different. I think the major question here, and the question for you to think about in your score, is going to be like, was this done with quality? I'm not going to say we can't really discriminate about whether or not it's good or bad on its merits in terms of flavor, because the flavor is what it is. Like, this is a whiskey that is not trying to be anything else than what it is. The question is, like, did they do it well?
Right.
I'll go into my final thoughts here real quick, and then you let me know what you think. So here's where I land. This is a singular experience, but it is a singular experience done well. You are either going to love it or hate it, as was mentioned earlier. I think that's true. I don't think this is a whiskey, which is something you would drink 5 grams of in a night and enjoy through the entire night. I think this is a change of pace. I think it's like, maybe you have a drink of it at the bar. Maybe you have a sip or 2 of it one night. This is a flavored whiskey, but not with artificial flavor. It's done with quality. I commend them for the innovation and uniqueness that you experience with a whiskey like this. Do I think you should buy a bottle at $60? Maybe. Based on the notes that we've shared, that's a judgment call, because I cannot tell you that this is worth your money, and I can't tell you that this is a bad whiskey, because it's not. I'm a 3.5 out of 5. Which is that I recommend you definitely try this. And if you enjoy it, grab a bottle at a good price. I'll hover between 3.5 and 3.25. So I'll go 3.5 because I think it's just so unique. I think it's quality. I think it doesn't pull punches, and you should try it before you buy it, because If you like it, you're going to really like it. And if you don't, you won't, but you'll respect it. And that's where I land on the Brimstone. Telex?
Yeah, it's funny. I was playing with the water a little bit to see what I got off the nose, and it did, like you said, it did tame down the spiciness a bit. It brought out, to me, brought out more of the herbal notes that I was getting a little bit, which I did like. I'm not sure what to classify it as. It reminds me of kind of like a cactus for some reason. It's got this like vegetal slash herbal presence to it, and with the water, a couple of drops, it brings it even more up. I do prefer it neat, I think, on the nose, but on the palate, it changes it just a little bit. I don't know if it doesn't really tame anything. Maybe the spice a little bitty bit, but it's already sweet. It doesn't make it sweeter. It might bring a little bit more of a black pepper note, but that's a good thing. It still has that really nice combination balance of light and brown sugar. To me, that's 2 pluses, Mom, by the way. And I rather like it. I'm surprised. I would charge, if this was my batch, I would charge $80 for it. I think it's worth 80. That was what I thought you were going to say, like 80 to maybe 85 at the top level. Not to say that they should start charging that or anything. I definitely think it's worth a look at 60. And wow, I'm debating on if I like it as much as the first one. I almost do. It's close, but it's something is missing in the complexity deal to me compared to that first one. It was a little more complex, maybe.
Yeah.
This one I'm going to stay around. I think I'm going to do a 3.5. I think a 3.5 is fair. I think it's good. I think it's better than average. I'm almost leaning towards the 3.75, to be honest. I think it is that solid, but a little more age might be interesting to see what they do. We don't. I don't know if you said any coloring was involved with this guy at all.
It's unclear, but I'm going to assume no.
You wouldn't think so, but you never know. You would think that these guys nowadays, if there isn't any coloring going on, they would definitely use that in marketing. But you can't really always say that 100% because sometimes they just don't want to really talk about it because they use it for consistency issues and things like that. So, but I tell you, I'm going to definitely have another pour of it. And yeah, I finished my Amrut sample already, and I thought, well, what the hell? We'll pour the rest of this guy, and I saved a half of a Quig dram.
So yeah, y'all. I mean, you got a pretty good consensus vote in the 3 out of 5 range.
I do like that scrubbed oak, like the nose, the smoke level is good. I enjoy this better than a Jura, I'll tell you that.
Truth.
Oh,
man. I think we got Daniel's probably in the chat, who's a Texas guy, and he sent me a bunch of Balcones stuff. I mean, I think it sounds like our general consensus is like, hey, y'all, this is a quality dram. Whether or not you want to spend the money on it, we're recommending, try before you buy, unless you find it for $50. But
I've been exiled.
This is a singular, like Telex. I'll ask you this just for the folks in the back. Like, have you ever had a whiskey that's quite like this?
I have not. Mom just exiled me from my home state for 6 months because I like the Texas whiskey, but that's okay. I haven't, but I will admit I have not had a huge plethora of bourbons or American whiskeys. Or, I've only had a 1 or 2 Balcones in history. This is probably my second or third one. This is definitely nothing like I've ever had. The closest thing I could compare it to is like there's a Corsair triple smoke I had one time that was a good American whiskey that had kind of reminded me like a Scotch, like a bourbon and a smoke, it had a little bit of peat, a little bit of smoke, and a little bit of sherry all together in one American dram, and that it kind of reminds me of that a little bit. And I think Corsair is from Are they from Indiana or Colorado? I can't even remember what state they're from.
California. I might be
California.
wrong, but
You're probably right.
you know what you're talking about. I know Corsair.
But that's the only thing I can compare it to. And she's like, he doesn't drink real alcohol. I see. To me, the real stuff is over in Scotland, but that's another thing. All of you guys are heathens. Anyway, no, but I will say that the Four Roses was a big surprise. The Elijah Craig was a huge surprise, and both of these men were definitely. I mean, to get me, I mean, I do like a lot of different whiskey, and that's why some of my grades are a little higher probably than others. But to get me above a 3, it takes a bit, because to me a 3 is an average, it's just a decent off the wall whiskey that. Like a Dalwhinnie 15 to me is a good 3-star whiskey, just like just like anything, just a good solid entry. Whole Pulteney 12. That's a good 3-star.
Yep.
So
and I don't even like. I mean, and the only difference between you and I mean, we follow the kind of distiller model, but like I take cost into consideration, and so that changes a little bit of our stuff, but like for the most part, you and I, so far since we've been doing these bulk tastings together, we've been within a reasonable range of each other.
And even though I don't like consciously seek it out, I think that value will play a role subconsciously no matter what I do in some of the stuff that we're doing. But because if I pay $300 for something and it's a 2-star whiskey, it might get a 1.5 for that.
Let us know in the chat if any of you guys had Balcones Brimstone. Telex and I are both in that 3.5 range on this, with all the caveats considered. Let us know what you think, and definitely let us know what you're sipping tonight. We're in the final 30 of our 3 hours of whiskey chat, so we definitely want to hear from y'all. Let us know.
Yeah, the 53%, man, is a huge plus. I think Steven and Kenny should try it. I mean, it's $55. I mean, I think that they would be intrigued by the experience. I can't guarantee they would like it, but I think that they would respect it for the craft, the complexity.
Yeah.
And I think that they could at least get behind most of the notes. They might not enjoy every single one of them, but I think that they would definitely get enough where they would say that their $50-$60 was well spent. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I'll be honest. I wanted to be more judgmental about this whiskey because of, certain people on YouTube are super fanboys of Texas whiskey. And yeah, well, I don't think it's like the dram for everybody. I think it's interesting enough and quality enough that you got to give it its respect.
It definitely makes me not cringe if someone offers me Balcones,
Yeah.
I didn't cringe the first time, really. I just was kind of like apprehensive when I tried it, and I was like, that's pretty good. It didn't make me want to run and try it, but this one is interesting enough and affordable to the point where, I might actually seek out some special, now that I know what $50 gets me from Balcones, maybe I'll invest $100 or $200 into it to see what they can really, really give you for the money. Yeah, Ben's right. Put your money where your mouth is.
Yeah, totally right. Yeah, exactly, Ben. Exactly.
That's the thing, but I'm pleasantly surprised, and I am going to look around and see if what they have to offer. I mean, how long has Balcones been in existence? Do you know?
I mean, we're talking like a decade or so, if less. Yeah, so they're relatively newcomers. I mean, and they're part of this Texas whiskey explosion.
How many? If just you don't have to get technical, but like just on a guess, how many Texas distilleries are there, you think, out there right now?
I would I don't know. I think there's probably like a dozen, but I
Wow.
would resort to I know Daniel, who looks like he's still in the chat. Daniel probably has a good sense of this, and maybe there are some other folks who were in Texas who are knowledgeable about it. Do let us know. So keep an eye on the chat.
He's in at 12 years old. That's perfect, man. They can start releasing some really good, interesting stuff here in the next year to 3 years to 5 years.
Yeah. Daniel knows what's up. He is a East Texas guy, so he knows what's up.
Daniel is? Oh, okay.
Yep.
Yeah, Dustin's right. Not too many Texas whiskeys are charging Springbank prices yet, thank God.
Thank God, right, yeah.
Based on watching the tribe videos, a dozen. Okay. Yeah, you're right on because he said 12. Santa Cruzan, good to see you, man. There are 15.
What's up, Santa Cruzan?
15 Texas case distilleries that he knows of. Wow, that's a pretty good number, man.
I'm getting low. I got to go get some more water. I'll be right back.
All right, man, no problem. There are 15. Wow. Out of the 15, are these are they all about 12 years old, or are there really, really new ones and really, really old ones? Let me know about, some of the history on that. Do you know what a 12-year-old Balcones would look like? A empty, dried out barrel. Oh, no. 15 Texas distilleries. Wow, man. That is crazy. Good to see you, Santa Cruzan. It's been a little bit. I think you always come in late. It's always good to see you, no matter what time it is, man. I'm not saying Balcones is bad, but when I find they're pretty good, but I'm not about to say it's in the league of Springbank or Old HP and many others. No. I wouldn't think that either. Definitely not in the not to that degree. But with them being around for 12 years and seeing maybe it was, what this is like, I'm actually intrigued enough to try something else by them. Haven't had that on the regular 10 worth of money. 10 cast strength. Store pick single malt for French oak at the cast strength are awesome. I'd like to try that. Saw a bottle of Springbank 15, man. Santa going, but they don't charge those prices either. I mean, I love Springbank 25, but I pay $800. Oh, that's painful, man. That is so painful. Oh my goodness. The Texas distillers are different ages, and most of the spirits are younger because of the heat. But some are younger than others. Okay. Garrison Brothers and Balcones are my favorites. Okay. I'll have to keep those two top in the top of my mind as far as trying some other stuff. What you sipping tonight there, Santa? Just curious. Oh, wow, there's 15 distilleries in San Diego County alone. And that's California, right? They have whiskey distilleries in California? I didn't know that. I don't think he'll go wrong with it. What is he? What are you recommending there, Steven? I'm just curious. I hate Garrison Brothers, The Passion of 1,000 Suns. Wow. 1,000 Suns? That's like one Arcturus or Antares, I think. So you hate Garrison Brothers with the passion of Antares. That's pretty intense, man. The Iron Root Republic. What about them, Dustin? Do you know them? Just out of curiosity. They have distilleries in Northern California too. Wow, I didn't know that. Let's bring old Malt back in here.
Hey.
Yeah, we're talking about, I didn't know California had a boatload of distilleries too. Huh.
They do.
They actually do whiskey too?
I think so.
Wow. I think I'll stick with trying Texas if I'm going to do American whiskey first because they're my favorite so far.
Well, I gotta recommend, man. I just did this Westward American single malt. I gotta say, this is going to be something you're going to get a sample of me from relatively soon, man, because it's good.
Well, both Dustin and Mom hate the Garrison Brothers for some reason. Have you tried any Garrison Brothers stuff?
I've not. Yeah, no, it's overpriced. I just haven't messed with it.
Wow, already, and they just got started, and they're already overpriced.
They've been around for. I mean, I've seen them for at least 2 years, and yeah, I haven't messed with it.
Well, I mean, like in the realm of like 30 to 40 years being like your typical
Yeah, no,
distillery
I
thing.
haven't messed with it.
Iron Root has some really great single cast, especially bottles. Big pass in their standard Harbinger, though. Okay, well, I think Iron Root and Balcones might be the first two that I take a little look at.
I do have another bottle of Balcones. It's called Baby Blue. It's 100% blue corn. I think it's more entry level. We could probably do a sample of that at some point.
That sounds really good. Whiskey Ace, what did you think of the Harbinger? I know that Dustin was a big pass on it. What did you think of that one? I'm just curious. Let us definitely know. Andalusia is another really good distillery, however, from California. Look up Oakhurst. Is it so good? I'm gonna have to take notes on your all's chat after the show. This is really good. It's educational because I have heard of Andalusia, believe it or not, but I can't remember anything about it. Ace Cowboy Bourbon, worst whiskeys I've ever had. Wow. There's 3 people against the Garrison brothers, so I'm gonna definitely skip them. Kelly includes, oh wow, Redwood Empire, Sonoma County Distillers, and San Diego Distillery. Interesting. 5 years. We bought it when it first came out. Horrible Mouth. Buy Yellowstone instead. Not a big pass, but I don't love it either. Okay. Yeah, the Ironwood Harbinger, I'll definitely will probably pass on that one then. Garrison tastes like they add dirt to the barrel. Wow. Tell us how you really feel. I'm sure Mom's going to add something to that. Interesting quality on the Harbinger. Garrison Brothers had bad reviews, yeah. Yeah, out of just the 3 of you guys, the Garrison Brothers thing kind of makes me kind of want to not go that route. Stick to Cowboy Boots, Texas, and quit trying to compare yourself to everywhere else. Bad football and overconversation is Texas oh man. I think he's from California, right? He's not going to get any friends, I think, saying that.
Yeah, right.
Oh man, have you heard anything
from things? Are you good with me sharing with the folks what we got lined up for the next couple of weeks?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, everybody. So, as you all know, Telex and I, for the Telex and Malt Show, have been doing tastings, a tasting each of the 2 hours of our show. And we got a couple good ones lined up, and we're going to be heading back to Scotch. So I know we've departed from that track a little bit for the last, 2 weeks? But we're going to be right back into Scotch. So next week, you guys can expect we're going to do a tasting of the the Tamdu 10 and the Tamdu 15, followed by a tasting of the, that'll be on the 13th. On the 20th, we're going to do Anok 12 and Anok 18. And then to close out October, we're going to do Lecheg 10 and Lecheg 18.
Oh, I can't wait.
Some good single malt scotches coming back up. And for the most part, we'll be off, at least I'll be off on the 3rd of November. But we got scotch to pretty much close out our year. After that, on the 10th, we're going to do some Ardbegs. And then the November 17th, we'll be doing Benromic Organic and Benromic 15. And then close out November with Jura 10 and Jura either 16 or 21. So we got a bunch of Scotch tastings coming up. And I hope everybody takes a second to hit like on this video, subscribe to him, subscribe to me. I do a happy hour every week before the Telex and Malt Show. And we're going to be getting into Scotch pretty much for the rest of the year. So hope you guys can join us for that.
And that's going to be all 3. That one show is going to be the search for the good Jura. So I went out and got a 10, the old 16, which a lot of people swear by, and a brand new 21 Thai time that's going to hopefully one of these or all or at least something will be
figure out Jura,
decent. We'll have some interesting scores, I'm sure, for you guys on that one.
Definitely, as I've never had a Jura.
Yeah, it's funny. It was the second Scotch I ever had was an olive Jura. I'm sorry, the Jura 10 was the Glenmorangie 10 was my first, the Jura 10 was my second, and the Lefroy 10 was my third. And I preferred the Lefroy 10 over all three of them. And that was even though it was a first flight. So uh, Andrew Page seems to think the 7 would be good. We need more wood. So if we don't get a winner out of the 3 that we hit, then we might expand it later on. But, I don't know. I know Steven's not a fan because he's just like, give me your money next time. But, hey, someone has to do it. You don't see a lot of I only saw one review off of one of these Juras. And let's just say that I did not see eye to eye at all with this reviewer, not even close. So it's going to be kind of good to get some other eyes, I think, on out on the field. And since we're doing a couple of new ones and an old one, it'll really get people an idea of what the line's like, what it was like, and maybe where it's going and where to go from here. And you never know, he might have something to do with the 7 wood. I know they have a new 18 and 21 and all that, so that's why I got a new 21 and the old 16 just to see what the differences are like. So we'll see.
Yeah,
stop bashing the KE. What's the KE? Do you know what the KE is there, Malt?
I don't. No, I don't.
What do you mean by KE there, Santa? I'm just curious. There's somebody hating out on America, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, huh? Oh, he's talking about Cohen. He's like he's not a huge fan of America, I guess, in general or something. I don't know.
Okay. Where are you joining us from, Cohen? I didn't realize that. I for some reason thought you were in the States. Maybe you are. But.
I thought he was from California, but maybe they don't consider themselves part of America anymore. I don't know, but you never know. That nowadays it's the country.
I didn't follow the chat progression, so I'm not sure what was being talked about, but
it's all good.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, we got some really good ones, and we'll. I'm excited about doing some. We got Lagavulin and Deanston and some Callan and Allard. We're doing some old Glendronix and some. It's going to be really interesting. All the stuff we get to dabble in here soon. I just got a new something that's coming soon. I'm like really excited about that. I found Malt found a Glencadam 13. Which will be
dude, I couldn't believe I found the Glencadam 13. It was that's their reawakening bottle, it's called, and it's about their the reawakening their distillery. It was probably more than I'd want to pay for a 13-year-old, but I was surprised that it existed, so I grabbed it. I thought this would have been something that was long since scooped up by people, so I'm excited to get you a sample of that soon.
It's going to be good. I'm lucky enough I've actually had it before, but it's definitely worth another look because
great. Okay.
It's that good. And to top it off, not only will we be looking at the Glencadam 13, which I think you're going to be hopefully in for somewhat of a treat. We'll also scored us a 21-year-old, which is going to be coming soon. So yeah, I've never had an older one. I've only had the 13, and from the 13 profile being as interesting, it's kind of reminds me of a Kergelicke in some ways. If you like that, I think you'll find it interesting. It's definitely not your starter Scotch by any means, but definitely a great side look, kind of like an Inchgower. Inchgowers are really great for like a side view or a Ben Romick, something like that. Little off the wall,
Yeah, that'll be fun for sure.
Uh-oh.
Huh?
Dustin's talking about we're lumping Kentucky with the South again. Oh, no. Anyway, but I'm looking forward to I guess got that Macallan 18 today too. So a little on the pricey side, unfortunately, but I think it's definitely worth a look. And
yeah, we can talk about that for sure. Yeah, I have that Macallan 12, so like that'll be something we get into early 2021, if I'm not mistaken, because of based on the schedule that we have now, but that could change.
yeah, it's such a good. I don't know. They have such specialized casts. Hopefully, spending a little more, we'll be able to taste the difference between that and a solid Glendronach. I'm hoping.
Yeah, have you ever had a Macallan 18? I've never.
I have had a fine oak 21, believe it or not, once before. I got lucky enough to have a really high end dram. That was the best Macallan. I've had the Rare Cast Black, which is a really, really, really good Macallan, but it's extremely pricey and extremely hard to get because it's retail exclusive. It's a travel retail exclusive, so it's really tough on both fronts, price and availability. So this will be the first high-end regular Macallan. Like I've had the triple cast 15, I've had the Sherry Oak 12 many times. I do enjoy it. The only thing with Macallan I have to be wary of is the prices are just a little crazy.
Yeah, your prices are excessive. There's no doubt.
But, it's just they are, picking out these, what are they, Xerxes, Spanish, I think, casks and all that.
Is that what they say?
That's what they say. I don't know. We'll have to see if we can tell because I mean, I'm a huge fan of Glendronach's sherry profile, and if I give their 12 a 4 out of 5, this 18 better at least be a 4, if not a 4.75.
Yeah. I completely agree with you on that. That's a reasonable expectation, if anything.
Because I think most people do think that Glendronach is a solid sherry profile distillery, and if Macallan wants to charge those prices, they have to bring their game, in order to meet that challenge. Because I tell you what, I will be disappointed if it, and I'm sure it might not meet my expectations, but at least
I got that 12 Sherry Oak.
Tried
our first hour one here. I've had a couple sips of it, and I'll save it. But I do think it stands up with the Glendronach a little bit so far, but we'll see. We'll get to it.
It'll be awesome. I can't wait to do I hope I have a little bit left of that Glendronach 12. I'll have to do like a little side by side, maybe on the side. If I don't have it at the time by the time we do that one, I'll just go ahead and get like a little bottle of Glendronach 12 on the side just to do a little match, because I really would like this. I remember liking the Macallan 12. I just remember it being a little more refined and subtle and not as in your face sherry wise.
Definitely, and there's two of them now. There's the Macallan Sherry Oak, which is the one that I have here, and then there's that double cask, which is I think a more bourbon aged Macallan 12, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I thought about they also have an 18 that's more on the bourbon cast side, like double cask.
Macallan Eco Sherry. Yeah.
That's the reason why I thought of maybe going the other direction, but I thought, you know what? If I think Macallan, I want my sherry. I got to go Sherry Oak. It's just the way they go.
Yeah, I'm totally agree with you.
Maybe if I do enjoy both this time, maybe I'll invest in a 12, 18, more of the wood stuff. But since I'm not a huge fan of Balcones double cask stuff, I do like their 17, but I don't like the 12 all that much. I probably won't even bother going that route, but we'll see.
Oh, that 12 single barrel was.
That's the 15 single, the sherry on the Balcony one is unreal good, man.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
Did they have a 12? Oh, and the 12 single barrel, the bourbon one you're talking about, that one was really good too.
I think we did that like a month. I mean, God, it must have been like a month ago.
I think
that one was a lot of fun and surprisingly good.
I think that one was so good because that's a first fill on that one. It makes such a difference. If you can find first fill in your bottle,
there's a Glenlivet out there that's a first fill 12 bourbon barrel, which is interesting, but I've never had it.
Which one?
There's a Glenlivet 12-year-old first fill bourbon out there, but I've never had it.
Wow.
We can explore at some point in time.
I've heard that Tamdu just recently did a new 10-year-old that's like a hyped up cast strength sherry version. It's not the typical 10, not the one that we're going to look at, but they do have a limited edition release, I think, where they do like some souped up cask strength version of a 10-year-old. It's weird, but it might be worth a look if you can get it for a good price. That's the catch. So one thing that was interesting that happened today, that made me think of that, was looking for new whiskeys, and one of them I had my eye on for us was a Cragganmore 20. It's a Diageo release, and
I have the Cragganmore Distillers Edition. We could pair those together.
Exactly, that'd be perfect. And I thought, well, if I can get a good price on the 20, then I'll just get a local. I always go local before I go anywhere else, just because I've got my favorite store, and my guy is really good. He's the one that helped me get those 2 Kilhomans that we'll be looking at, the lightly peated ones. And he was like, yeah, he's like, believe it or not, Diageo actually made the statement that Maryland does not have a good enough whiskey market for them to bring the Cragganmore 20.
Oh, I gotta move back to DC then.
Isn't that crazy? It's like,
yeah, that's ridiculous, man.
I don't believe that 1 second, because I know Diageo sells a boatload of Lagavulin, a boatload of Dalwhinnie and Talisker and Kleinleach and all that stuff here.
Sure.
I mean, for them to pass on selling that here, I think is crazy. But hopefully, if I'm lucky, I can just go to like an ABC Virginia store, or maybe even Pennsylvania. And
I'll keep my eyes out open for sure.
Yeah, it's Cragganmore. They have a 2020 special release. It's a 20-year, and I think it's like $165. I don't think it's crazy priced. So keep that. I'm gonna
keep my eyes out for it.
I'm gonna look out for that in the back burner, and if I do see it, I'm gonna snag it here in next month. I'm gonna have to wait a month because I just went and got back from the store recently, but. You see all those new Kilhoman bottles up there.
Yeah, totally.
But I'll be definitely
good with that. All right, Telex, I got to sign off, man. But yeah, it's been a lot of fun. I hope everybody enjoyed our tasting tonight. If you haven't, do subscribe to Telex. Subscribe to Malt Muser Whiskey Reviews. Give us a like on this video. And with that, I will be here next week to join you for our next tasting, which should be a lot of fun, where we get into Tamdu.
Yeah, I'm looking so forward to it, and I'm a big fan of the distillery. I've had some things of theirs before and liked it.
Everything I've tasted of the 10 so far has been great, so that should be a lot of fun. I'll catch you next week, and to everybody in the chat, be safe, be well. Salancha, and catch you next Tuesday.
Yeah, please subscribe, like you said, if you haven't already, and sign up, hit the bell, and hopefully see you guys soon. It's always fun hanging out with you guys. So work calls tomorrow, unfortunately, but we'll be back here Tuesday. Maybe before. I do owe Kenny a show. Kenny, if you're still around, he might not be. But if you are, let me know when you're available. We could take a look at we got some really special. He sent a couple Benevices, and we've got a really nice Ardbeg Alligator committee release, I believe. And we have I want to say Port Ellen, the P-E word. Hey, Kenny, yeah, let me know when if you can pick a day, and if you want to be on the show, you're more than welcome to be. If you'd rather not, I completely understand. Maybe we can get both you and Steven on. He probably has had a couple of those Benevices. Just pick 2, maybe out of the 4, if you want to take a look at them. And it doesn't have to be Tuesday. Just pick a day, and let's have a little look-see, if you don't mind, and see what you think. Let me know on the side if you don't want to do it here. That's fine too. Salancha for now, guys. I appreciate your all's time.